Lalita ma'am, we are all set.
Yes, sir. Yes.
You.
So let's begin. And good evening to all of you, our respected CEO, our dear author and poetess, and the guest for today, Miss Ritu Saxena, and all dear students and parents and teachers who are here. It's indeed a wonderful day with lots of showers of blessings coming on us. And I'm so proud and happy to have an actual, because children keep hearing the author is so-and-so, the poet is so-and-so, but today they got to meet, because since schools are not physically functioning, you have at least got to virtually meet an author and a poetess, and we welcome you, ma'am. But before I hand it over to ma'am to take over, let me first talk a little about the authors and the poems. Poetry is such a beautiful expression. It manifests a person's feelings. In fact, those of you who know Hindi, you will understand there is a beautiful verse which says, "Jahan ravi na pahuche, wahan kavi ki kalpana pahunch sakti hai." The place where even the sunlight cannot reach, which is in very dark woods and all, you'll find that sunlight cannot reach there. But a poet's imagination can go to such places also. So it is such a beautiful way of expressing. The poets have such wonderful ways of expressing. And children, if you know that last year we worked extensively on your language building. And this year, we are going to work extensively on your language enrichment. When I talk about enrichment, it is the beauty of that language that we are going to say. So before I begin, I want to read one poem for you from my favorite poet, and that is Robert Frost. And this poem is there in our textbooks also, but it's a wonderful poem and I have to read it to all the children. And the name of this poem is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood and looked down, one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then I took the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. Both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first one for another day, and yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that made all the difference. Children, this is a wonderful poem by Robert Frost, a poet whose a poet's imagination is wonderful. He also said words like, woods are lovely, dark and deep, and I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Children, these words are exquisite. Okay, now I'll go on to introduce our author and poetess of the day, Miss Ritu Saxena. She is an educationist, author, and a humanitarian. She has more than 10 years of teaching experience with the forte in activity-based learning, collaborative and cooperative teaching methods. Her award-winning action research was published in NCERT, the Primary Teacher Journal. She is presently working as a HOD in humanities. She writes well in Hindi as well as English with equal ease. Her articles published in leading educational magazine Beyond Classrooms. Her debut book, Impressions of a Wandering Mind, is a collection of English poems. Ritu, she worked with the Childline, Helpage India, and is currently an active volunteer for a few NGOs in Hyderabad. And a wonderful very humane person. Over to you, Ritu ma'am. I wish you give my children all inspiration to become poets like you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your kind words. And I'm really excited and I'm really humbled that you invited me today to interact with such beautiful young creative minds. It's my opportunity, interacting with young minds is always, I take a lot back home when I interact with them. There's so much of learning, and learning is always, when we clap with both the hands. We cannot clap with one hand. So interacting with children is, it's both ways. Children learn from us, and in that process, even we adults learn so much. So I'm really happy and blessed to be here with you all today. Well, I'll start sharing my screen. Ma'am, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Clearly visible.
Great. Interacting with young minds, creative minds, people with full of energy, and honestly, even we adults have a child inside us, and we all love listening to a story. So how about starting with a story? Are you up with me, children? I hope you are going to enjoy the session now with starting with a story. So I'm going to narrate a small story from one of the most famous epics in India, the Ramayana. No matter how many times we read it, we always get some or the other inspiration. And this motivating story, I even got it published in one of the leading magazines, as ma'am said. So I'm not going to read it, I'll just narrate you the story. We all know that Lord Ram was prince of Ayodhya, and after his marriage with Sita, one of his stepmothers, you know, uh, there was some political issues because of which she wanted her son Bharat to become the king, and therefore asked to send Ram into exile. So Ram, along with his wife Sita and younger brother Lakshman, went into the forest for exile for 14 years. Now, when they were wandering from one forest to the other and going from one place to the other, it so happened they settled in one place for some time. There, one day it so happened that both Ram and Lakshman were not there, and the Lanka king, the demon king Ravan, he comes in disguise, and he takes away, he abducts Sita. Ram and Lakshman are in search of Sita. They come across a place where they meet the monkey lord, Lord Hanuman, who promises to help them and takes them to his king, Sugriv. The mighty king Sugriv, the monkey king, he promised Ram that he is going to help. So he sends his entire army, and the entire army is sent in all four directions. So it so happens the battalion that is with Hanuman, there are some ministers, important ministers, and all other very mighty fighters with him. They go into the south direction. Now, when they go there, that was the last piece of land they reach, and they do not find Sita. And there it happens that they meet Sampati, who was the elder brother of Jatayu, uh, and the vulture king. He guides them that beyond the wide ocean, Sita is there, and she's waiting for them to help. Now it so happens that Hanuman looks at the mighty ocean and says, "But this is huge. How do we cross it?" So Jamvant, one of the ministers and very wise one, he comes up and he says, "Hanuman, don't you know you are a superpower? You have all the superpower in you. If you want, you can just, just with one single leap, you could fly across." And he narrates how many superpowers he has, and everything is told to Hanuman. But you know what? This was the moment when the mighty Hanuman was in doubt. And so many times we all are in doubt. There comes always a phase in life when we have difficult circumstances. And here too, Hanuman has a difficult moment where he is not able to unlock his superpowers. He doesn't know how to unlock them. So he sits on the beach, he looks at the mighty ocean, the waves coming towards him, and then he tries and concentrates and thinks of ideas how he can unlock his powers. And it's there when he sees a tiny bird flying and going into the sea and coming back onto the beach. And this kept happening repeatedly. Now, Hanuman, he was trying to concentrate, and this bird was constantly going to and fro into the sea and back to the beach. Finally, he gets really distracted and annoyed by this constant action that the bird is doing. And he says, "Hold on, what are you trying to do?" So she said, "You know what? I was trying to teach my kid how to fly." And it so happened my kid was flying and fell into the waves, and this ocean has eaten my kid. So I'm trying to dry this ocean so that I can take out my kid from this. So I'm going into the sea, I'm taking some water into my beak, and I'm throwing it on the beach. And Hanuman initially laughed and said, "Come on, you have a tiny beak. How can you dry the entire ocean?" But then it struck to him, if something impossible, which looks so impossible, and this tiny creature, if this can do, then why can't I? And that was it. He got the willpower to unlock. So it's the willpower that helps us go through all the difficult situations. Think positive and unlock the power. And you know what? I'll tell you a secret today. We all have that kind of superpower inside us. We just need to unlock it. Now, there was a purpose in telling you the story because when I was your age, even I didn't know I would be sitting here and interacting with you because of some little work that I've done in the field of writing. Okay. So, as ma'am has mentioned, yes, I have got a book published. It's a collection of poems. And when the book was launched, it was covered in the media by the leading newspapers in Hyderabad, the Hindu, the Deccan Chronicle. I have also written articles in Hindi newspaper, Hindi Milap. So, no matter how much I write today, the first time when you do something and it gets recognized and appreciated, it's always very sweet. It fills you with a lot of happiness, motivation, and it inspires you to go ahead. So, why I'm trying to tell you this story, because when we look at somebody, now you're looking at me, you might think, "Oh my God, she's successful." But you know that it's like an iceberg. Everything is like an iceberg. We only see the peak, but there's so much below within the sea. We look at Sachin Tendulkar, who's god of cricket, but how many of us actually know that he struggled to go and practice? He used to wear wet pants while practicing. We only see Mr. Amitabh Bachchan as a media icon, as a person who has got the best of the awards across the globe, who is a very recognized and very followed personality in the media. But how many of us really know that he even gave 7 back to back flops movies? He was even thrown out of All India Radio because his voice was not considered good enough for the radio. But look at it now. Look at the irony. People follow him, the way he talks, the way he modulates his voice. He is an icon, and all that sphere, how he carries himself, we all follow it. So, with me also, I'll just share a small incident that writing didn't come very naturally to me. It was a very funny incident that happened. It was my friend's birthday, and coincidentally, my dad was out of town, and my mom just refused to give me money to buy a gift for my friend. So I was really angry, and I was like, but I can't go without a gift in the party. It would feel so awkward. So just putting all my thoughts on a piece of paper, I was doing my homework or something, and I was just scribbling. And suddenly I said, why not write something about my friend and gift it to her? And that is how it all started. So it started with writing a poem for my friend, and which I wrote on a very beautiful sheet of paper, rolled it and wrapped it, and that is what I gave her as a gift. And honestly, her parents loved it, she loves it, and even till today she has, treasured it. So sometimes we don't even think that we have this kind of talent. I never thought I have the ability to write. It was creative writing was only part of our academic, writing essays and letters, or sometimes some other activities in school. You guys are really lucky. You are having such guest talks where people from across different fields, they are coming and sharing their experiences. In our times, things were different. Yes, we did have extracurricular activities, but still it was not the way it is now. So do make the best of this opportunity. So coming to now writing and how you can go ahead, so I would like to let you know, continuing with my story, that yes, we sometimes do not know that we have that hidden talent, the latent talent. We are more like dormant volcanoes. We don't know when it's going to erupt. So there are so many people in the field of writing today, and who are very successful, very, very successful people. And over a period of time, they accumulated all their experiences, and then when it was the right time, they launched their work, they shared their work. There are so many people, whether it is Chetan Bhagat, whether it is Amish Tripathi, whether it is Sudha Murthy. They all came from diverse backgrounds. And there was talking about Sudha Murthy. She was an engineer. She worked with the Tata Motors. She was working, she was the first woman to go and work into the factories. And later on, she helped her husband to build the company. She gave the financial aid of 10,000 rupees when Infosys was starting. So she was totally into a different zone. But over a period of time, she accumulated so many experiences, her learnings, that she wrote, started writing it, started sharing her experiences. That is how it came. Amish Tripathi, another very famous writer, he was working in a bank. Imagine, crunching numbers all day, talking about loans and other things. And then all of a sudden, there was a calling within him, and he starts writing books. It was all fiction based on mythology, based on religion. And look at it. Now he's a huge and a very successful writer, turning into a producer, where he is going to produce his own written, his novels will be made into movies. We also have Chetan Bhagat, whose so many books have actually been very successful movies also. Three Idiots is one of those, one of the movies which are based on his work. So we never know what we'll be, but the best thing is to keep trying. And writing is one area which helps us to connect with people. And before connecting with people, it's important to connect to ourselves. You need to explore yourself, understand yourself. Okay, so when we understand ourselves and we start relating things around us, you can pick up any topic for that matter. You can write anything you want. And when we talk about writers, authors, poets, you can do anything. Sometimes parents say, "Nay, you should be an engineer or a doctor or whatever." But then, if you are really thinking from now, and some of you might be, I'm pretty sure, if you're thinking that you would like to take up writing as your career, then definitely, excellent. There are so many writers doing so well in so many different areas. There are editorial writers, technical writers, there are marketing and communication writers, and you know what? They're earning well also. There are report writers, feature writers, script writers for the movies, and so many areas where people who are, totally earning and making a good amount of money in this field. So yes, if you think writing is something that can be a career, definitely you are spot on there. Now, talking about poetry, ma'am started this session with a beautiful poem. It's definitely one of the best poems, even I like it. But there have been some more poets whose work has had a very profound effect on me. When I was your age, I we had Hindi, English as languages, and when we talk about poetry, it's a lot about understanding the language. And in one of our Hindi books, there was a poem by the national poet Mathli Sharan Gupt, and uh, one of his poems that I really liked, which has had a great impact on me, is "Nar ho na nirash karo man ko." I'll just read 3 lines, which every time when I feel low, or every time I feel what am I supposed to do with me, or what am I doing, it gives me a direction. It fills me, there's sudden surge of energy in me. Now, this poem, just 3 lines. नर हो न निराश करो मन को, नर हो न निराश करो मन को, कुछ काम करो, कुछ काम करो, जग में रहकर कुछ नाम करो, which literally means you are a human being, the most evolved species on this planet. So get up, don't get into despair, don't despair at all, don't be sad, do something about your life, be positive. We should always be filled with positivity, and when we are positive and we do any task full of positivity, the result will also be good. Okay, now another poet, Hindi poet, he was a mystic and a poet and also a saint, and he I'll just read 2 lines, the couplet. It says, ऐसी बाणी बोलिए मन का आपा खोए, औरों को शीतल करे आपहु शीतल हों. This is written by Sant Kabir Das, and this means that we should use the language which not only fills us with happiness but others also. And when we use good language to talk to others, to communicate with others, it spreads a lot of happiness. And poetry or prose, whatever we talk about today, especially poetry, is all about language. Ma'am, there's a constant request here to give a remote control of the screen. Should I approve it? Okay. So coming back to what I was saying, I was talking about language. So many poets, they have given us so many beautiful ideas. Mathli Sharan Gupt fills us with positivity and he says, get up, get going. Whereas Kabir Das is focusing on the spiritual aspects and telling us how to deal with others, how to communicate with others. And such poets, their work has been, even after so many years, and we do not have them around us, but still their work is so much relevant today, and we follow them, we still read them. Okay. And these it's such, when we talk about poetry, more so about poetry, it's all about how we use our words to get a connect with others. And I really like this line here given by Robert Frost. And this we have even used at the back cover of my book, Impressions of a Wandering Mind. It says, poetry is when an emotion is found, when an emotion has found its thought and the thought has found words. So if I'm feeling about something, I'm really feeling very strongly about something. It can be any emotion. It can be anger, it can be love, it can be happiness, it can be sadness, it can be any emotion that you're going through and you want to pick it up and write it. Then yes, that emotion should become a thought and the thought should get the correct words, and then you should go ahead, and it will definitely become an excellent poem. Now, ma'am, in the when she was giving the introductions, she said that a lot of language enrichment programs you guys are doing. So I'm pretty sure this part of my presentation you'll be able to relate to. And before I do that, I would like to read one small paragraph from a poem, and the name of the poem is If by Rudyard Kipling. The poem goes like this: If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make your thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you have spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them with worn out tools. There are two more paragraphs, but I'll read till here because I really love the second paragraph, the second stanza, sorry. I really love it because this second stanza actually gives you the essence of what the Bhagavad Gita says. It says to have sthit pragna, which means whether you are winning, whether you are losing, you should have a steady mind. You should not get flowed. There may be people who might blame you. There'll be people who will talk behind your back. There'll be people who will be doing lot many things which you might not like, but do not react. Hold yourself. It gives, when you read such work by great men and women, it inspires you. Whether it's P.B. Shelley, whether it's John Milton, whether it's William Wordsworth, whether it's Shakespeare, so many people, they have given us beautiful work. And when you read about them and you start visualizing them, you become part of them. So writing is just not, just scribbling on some piece of paper or putting some thoughts and then putting it aside and never getting it back to it. But actually, when you get into that habit of constantly writing and putting your emotions there, the best way is to write a daily diary. You might not like this idea because of your teachers must have told you this, but actually, trust me, it is one of the best ways. If you want to write and you want to make a mark in this field, start doing that. Daily writing a diary of what you did the entire day. It will be, it will be like introspecting. It will be going through the day back again. There might be incidents where you felt very happy, so you can capture those incidents, just like we do it with the cameras now. When we go on a vacation, we just don't absorb the beauty of the nature or the scenery that we are enjoying there. I know you must be thinking we haven't been anywhere outside since this last 1.5 years because of the pandemic, but I'm sure you must have gone on a vacation sometime back, and you can recollect your experience. When we go on a vacation, what do? We enjoy, but we keep clicking pictures, taking selfies. Why do we do that? So that those fond memories can always be revisited. Now, if you bring it into writing, the same concept. You had a nice, beautiful day today, a very good day you had. You spent time with your friends over phone, and it was a vacation or maybe a holiday, a day off from school work, and you got good time to interact with your parents, your siblings. Maybe, before going to the bed, you can just make one diary maybe start with writing just few points, and maybe later on you can expand it and refine it further when as you get into that habit. So that's the best thing to do. And talking about my experience about how to write a poem, as I told you the story, that is how it started. But uh, I became very confident. I was like, wow, I wrote one nice one, and I even gifted it to my friend. So now I have become a writer, a poet, and now I can do it. But guess what? It was really difficult. There were thoughts, maybe a line or two, and very nice thoughts, but I couldn't expand it. I couldn't go beyond that. So later on, when I just thought about it, I realized that I was not writing them somewhere. And then I was regretting that I wish I could have at least captured the thought and written it somewhere, or that emotion, or that thought, whatever. And that is how I started keeping a diary with me. uh, I always carry a small diary or a pen, so that if I'm traveling or I'm anywhere, if some nice thought comes to me, if I pick up some nice words and it gives me some idea, I should write it. Later on I'll revisit it, and it helps me to give a lead. And that is what I'm trying to suggest you also. So we should keep writing something or the other, and when we do that, when I revisit some of the thoughts, some of the poems that got published in this book, that Impressions of a Wandering Mind, they I actually revisited some 3 4 lines that I had scribbled long back. So they were thoughts which or some emotions that I had experienced long back. But I realized that now I have that kind of the time, and I have that kind of emotions and experience that I can elaborate on it and give it a nice shape. Talking about shape and structure to our thoughts, that is what I'm going to share now, as you can see on my screen. So giving a structure to your thought is very important. Okay. See, when we make a building, we need to give the structure. Without making the structure in place, we cannot build anything. So the structure is very important. So here I have just picked up just 4. So I know, Sita, you want to take control of the PPT, but let me tell you, uh, I just have one more slide to share. So just hold on for a minute.
Ma'am, it's somebody just playing a prank, ma'am. Don't even just look into that.
Okay, ma'am. So, coming back to what I was saying, giving structure to your thoughts and how you can go ahead. I'm pretty sure you must have heard these words that you see on my screen. Your teachers must have taught you, you must have had some in your literature books. But just as a revision, I'll let you know. There are various types of poems. Actually, there are many. I have just picked 4 because I thought these you might be aware of. So sonnet is one of the type of poems, and you know what? It was initially, the founder of this style was an Italian poet, and there were actually 2 Italian poets who initiated this or brought this way of writing. But today, if you take the name of sonnet, people only connect it with Shakespeare, because Shakespeare's work became so famous. His sonnets became so famous that nobody remembers those those Italian poets. But talking about sonnets, it has 14 lines. But the beauty of this is that you can, have your own set of rules. So that kind of freedom is available when we talk about sonnets. You can give your own personal characteristics there. So yes, in poetry, some forms are little strict. They do not allow you to experiment much, but sonnet gives you that liberty. Talking about haiku, it was originated in Japan by M. Basho, and these are small, very small, 3 lines poems. And initially, it was in very famous in Japan, but now some of the poets in US also, they have started writing haiku. And the beauty of this type of poem is that it's only in 3 lines, and the first line has 5 syllables, the second has 7, and the third line again has 5 syllables. So that is the structure. Okay. Now talking about limerick, this is usually a humorous form where it has a very distinct rhythm, and it's more of a couple of times I have seen in Times of India. There's this poet. I'm sorry, I'm not able to recollect his name right now. Amit something. He comes out with limerick, and it's more of a satire on the political things going around in the world. And here what happens is that there are the subject matter which is crude, or something in the current affairs or something nowadays what people do, that this is how they write. But there is something funny in there which brings a smile on your face when you read limerick. So there are 5 lines, two are longer lines, two are shorter lines, and the last line tries to close the joke, whatever the concept, the topic is. And I've mentioned the rhyming scheme also here. Now, free verse. This is what I really like. It's my personal favorite. So this doesn't have any rules, and our thoughts are like those train that do not stop anywhere, they constantly go on. And you young minds, your thoughts are all the more super speed trains, constantly going to and fro. So I personally feel this is what you should explore, because there's no rule here. So you have the entire liberty to explore this form of writing. And contemporary poets actually they're using this free verse, and it is very famous nowadays. And there are so many young poets, children of your age, who have even published their work in this, writing free verse. So I personally suggest that you should start writing if you have an inclination, and you have certain ideas, you have some memories, some emotions that you want to pen it down, then definitely free verse is something that you should definitely try. Now, when we are writing a poem, what is it that is very important that we should keep in mind? And these are the 3 main points. If you have this, it's more than enough. You are a successful poet. Take it from me now. Okay, so talking about poetic devices, I'm pretty sure you must be knowing some of them: imagery, smileys, metaphors, personification. Personification is something, when we attach human characteristics to something which is not human. The wind whispered in my ear. Wind is not a human being, but I'm suggesting here as a poet that it can talk and it can whisper. So these devices, when I use in my writing, uh, in one of the poems that I had written, the poems was about, I was in a very sad mood that time. And I was wondering, as a teenage, I remember having these mood swings. And I was like, every time, why do I feel a little low? Why it happens with me? Am I only like this? So why this, sad and darkness type of thing surrounds me? And that is when I started writing. So I actually wrote the first line was, like an effrontery visitor, O darkness, you knock the door of my heart. So darkness is not a human being. So how can it knock? So whatever you are feeling, whatever you are experiencing, your thought, your emotion, when you involve these poetic devices, and now if I give you an example of imagery, when supposing you enter the house and you can smell something, and you just run into the kitchen and you might ask your mom, what are you cooking? Or maybe now, if I take, maybe your mom is cooking some snacks for you and you are here attending my session, and suddenly you smell something good, you would be very inquisitive, isn't it? You would like to go and visit the kitchen and see what mom is doing. What is she cooking? Oh, it's smelling so good. What are you making? What has happened? Your sense organs are telling you, giving you some information. isn't it? Your nose told you that something is cooking, maybe something which is your favorite. So imagine now, as a poet, when you bring the entire focus of the reader, you involve the senses of the reader, whether it is visual, whether it is auditory, whether it is, any of those five senses that we have, then it is called imagery. Now, if you, I don't know, I think you guys are too young, but if you have heard about Agatha Christie, whenever you read her mystery novels, you can actually visualize the entire scene in front of your eyes. So descriptive that you become as if you are standing and everything is happening right in front of your eyes. So, when as a writer, whether it's your prose that you are working on, whether it's your poem that you're working on, if we, especially in poems, if we involve these kind of devices, then the connect with the reader is supreme. The reader will not keep down your work, will try and finish it. Then the other part is, the second part here is sounds. See, when we talk about poems, we actually relate it to something that has rhyme and rhythm. Okay, so whether we take any language for that matter, whether it is Sanskrit, the Bhagavad Gita, it's the Song of God, whether we take so many poems in Hindi by so many authors like Mahadevi Verma or Harivansh Rai Bachchan in Hindi. In English, we have so many poets. And if you read them, it feels as if it's a beautiful song. If you give it a melody, it would turn into a beautiful song. And at your level, how can you do it? By using certain words, for example, assonance, alliterations, where a lot of repetition is happening, repetition of consonants or vowels. So it brings that kind of rhythm and rhyme in what you are writing. Also, what we should understand when we're writing, which is very important, the flow of thought. If the teacher is standing in the class and she's trying to teach you something, she's talking about one concept and then she's jumping on to the next concept, you'll say, what is happening? I'm confused. So the same thing happens when you are a reader. If the poet or the writer is not having a proper flow, the flow is not correct, then the reader will get confused and would not like to get connected with you. And the second most important thing is, what is the essence? What is the meaning? What is exactly that you're trying to put across? So when you start writing, it's like a mountain. You start from a starting point and then it goes to the peak, and then when you come to the climax, you come down and you finish the climax. Otherwise your work is not complete. So you should be able to convey the meaning, the entire idea in that process. And until unless the reader gets exactly what you're trying to convey, your message will not go across. Obviously, if I'm saying something to you, you do not understand, you will not enjoy it. So if the meaning that you are trying to put across, maybe some emotion or experience, some memory, and you want to share with others, until and unless you put it across in the right flow, people will not get connected. But all said and done till now, my advice to you, do not restrict the flow of your thoughts. Let it flow, because you are just beginning and there's immense talent and immense energy in you. So let it flow. Don't restrict yourself. Whether it's the structures, whether it's these points that I have given you, still do not restrict yourself. Just write it. We can always revisit it and edit it. Okay. In our times, like when I was young, I didn't have any gadgets. You guys are so lucky. You can just delete, copy, paste, and do so many things. I had to write all over again. If I made a mistake, the page used to look so untidy. And then again, I had to write it in very neat handwriting. So fairing it again and again, can you imagine? It's more like a punishment. So for you guys, it's things are really easy. And it's so easy that if you are having a device in your hand, your mobile or whatever, you can actually, just record it the way it is coming, the way it is flowing within you. You can just record it, and maybe then later on sit, think what structure you would like to give, what devices. See, when we you take anything, whether it's a cake that your mother bakes, the icing is done in the end. So the beautification, when what I have told you here, the poetic devices, the sounds, whatever, it is nothing but beautifying your work. Okay, so beautification definitely we can do later. The first thing is let it flow. So I hope you like the session. If you want anything to ask me, please feel free to ask. And I would like to end my session here. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ritu. I think it was amazing, amazing and captivating. Children, I think we have got a great session with Ritu ma'am, and we, in a very short while, I will, if any of you have any questions, please note it down. I'll give you some opportunity to ask, and already I see some hands are up. But before that, I wanted to just add a little further flavor to Ritu ma'am's poetry. And this is by Rabindranath Tagore. And Rabindranath Tagore has written many beautiful, what I should say, poems and treatises, and, one of which is Where the Mind is Without Fear. Okay, it's my favorite. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches in arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Awesome, awesome.
Beautiful.
Really, these are words which are priceless, dear children. And now ma'am, you can stop sharing, ma'am. Now, if any of you have any questions, you can raise your hand and we shall, okay. There is Akhil Ganesh who has raised his hand. Akhil, I'll unmute you. You can ask. Akhil, you can unmute and you can ask.
What?
Yes. Yes, Akhil Ganesh.
Yes,
Chaitanya, you can unmute and ask.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask, ma'am, like I am interested into writing songs, and song is basically like a poem only. So how do I start writing songs?
Songs, very
First
good.
thing about song is.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, please go ahead, ma'am. Please.
Ma'am, you first.
I was just telling him it depends for what are you planning to write. Maybe 15th August is coming, you want to write a patriotic song. So it totally depends on the theme. Or maybe if you are just having, since you have not mentioned, so I'm just guessing that you have a theme. If you have a theme, it makes things very easy for you because your focus is correct on that, right on to the topic. But supposing you don't know what you want to write about, so then start feeling about it. When you feel about that emotion or the experience, automatically words start coming. Just let them flow, just record them, and later on maybe you can beautify them, as I just now told you.
Wonderful, ma'am. We have Sai Charan who also has something to ask. You can unmute and ask Sai Charan.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so I have actually written a page of my story, ma'am. So I have a doubt actually.
Please.
So actually, how to introduce the character?
So introducing a character, if you are writing a story about something, then when we see movies, sometimes majority of the times the camera goes from the foot of the hero till the face, slowly and steadily, making that creating some sort of mystery and curiosity. So for a reader also, the same thing holds for a reader also. Subtly, slowly, you should introduce the character, and you should mention about it. Totally depends on the story what you're writing about, and especially if it is a thriller, then yes, you should build on that kind of suspense. It will hook the reader.
Very nice. Very nice. I think, Sai Charan, you need to build that value. Harika, yes, you can ask now, Harika. Harika.
Ma'am,
Yutika, yes, Yutika, you can ask, please. Whoever is
Yes,
asking,
ma'am.
please keep
If
your video on and ask.
book poem,
Please put your video on and then
yes,
ask the
ma'am.
question.
Yes, ma'am. If I want to write a poem, I wrote the poem. How to publish the poem? How can we do that?
Excellent. See, all of us want to get some limelight in life, isn't it? We all like to be appreciated, loved, and cared. So we like to seek attention. And the best way to get our work published is there are two methods to do it. Nowadays, we have a lot of self-publishing books, self-publishing companies where they help you publish your work. And then there is the traditional method. So totally depends on which way you would like to go. In the traditional way, there's no guarantee whether your work will get selected or not, because it's a huge process. So the easiest thing that nowadays people do is going for this self-publication, where there are companies, where there are editors, copywriters, and they guide you through it, through the entire process of book publishing. And but the only thing is here that you have to pay. Okay, so you have to pay them and get your work published. So these are the two ways: the traditional method, that you send your manuscript to the publishers. For example, I'm just taking a name of a publisher, a very well renowned one, Rupa Publications, which is in Delhi. So if you send them your manuscript, they will go through it. If they like it, they might call you. And usually in such cases, a lot of reference is required. Okay, if you have people who can approach the publication house on your behalf and get the concerned person read your work, and if it is pretty good, they will definitely go out, because the traditional publishers look for making money. It's a business for them. Whereas on the other hand, in self-publication, this is also a business. That is why they are taking money from you to publish your book. So either way, it's a business, definitely, and totally depends on you which way you would choose to go.
Even you can, send it to Times of India or Deccan Chronicle. If they like it, they will publish it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes, Harika, you can ask the child. Harika, I think. Okay, Kavya. Kavya, you may ask, please. I need to unmute you, isn't it? Yes. Harika also. Rudrarian also. You guys can unmute yourself.
I like to.
What is rhyme scheme, ma'am?
Yes. Harika.
Ma'am, what is rhyme scheme?
I'm sorry, I couldn't get it. Can you please repeat?
Ma'am, what is rhyme scheme? Ma'am, what is rhyme scheme, ma'am?
Okay, what is rhyme scheme? Okay, now what I see, when we write poetry, we should have certain type of you know um, see, there are sometimes what we do is a repetition of words which bring a kind of a flow, something that we have in songs. A lot of, the last word, supposing the last word of the sentence rhymes with the last word of the second line. So when we use such words where there's a constant repetition, there's a pattern of some sound which helps us to give a sound like feeling. uh, in Hindi, when we hear songs, if you for that matter, you hear any song, sometimes uh, the last word sounds quite similar to the last word of the next sentence. In the same way, in poetry also, there are so many devices that we use, alliterations, where repetition of words are used to bring some sort of rhythm and rhyme. See, in when you play such things, it brings some sort of movement. So that is what it means here in poetry, that it talks about some sort of movement happening there. So you feel connected in that sense. I hope I have answered your question. And there are many ways of bringing rhymes and this rhyme scheme that you are saying, A B types, or A B B A. So it totally depends on the person writing. It depends on what type of style you would like to have.
Ma'am? Ma'am?
Yes,
Hello?
yes,
Ah,
I
yes,
can
ma'am.
hear you.
Yes, ma'am. If I need, so I have inspiration. So if a beginner
I'm
know the
sorry, I can't
materials, so
correctly.
how, ma'am? Can you
Yes,
hear me? Yes, ma'am.
your voice is
For
cracking
example,
better.
if I begin, so I decided. Yes,
Ma'am?
ma'am. Can you hear me? Ma'am?
Can you please tell me your question if you don't mind, because your voice is cracking.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, is it clear?
Yes, now it is clear.
Yes, ma'am. If I'm a beginner, I'm inspired to write a poem. What are the materials to write a poem? If I don't, what if I don't have a good handwriting, or the publisher will say no to my handwriting and to my poem? What is
No.
like?
Okay. Yes, I'll tell you. A very good question. See, it totally depends on you. If you think your handwriting is not good, but you are very comfortable in writing with a pen, paper, or a pencil or paper, whatever, you can do that. And later
Yes,
on, you are supposed to type it. The publishers always prefer a typed version. Okay. If you give it in your handwriting, this is something you are talking about long back. Earlier, people used to write in very nice, beautiful handwriting, and that is how the work used to get published. But now we have, with the advancement in technologies, it's very easy to type it in Word. Your handwriting, you think, if others cannot understand, you can choose a very nice font. Times New Roman is an excellent font in Word document. You can type it in that, increase the font size so that it is visible, leave some space between each line, and maybe 2 line spacing you can do to make your work look neat. And definitely that is more than sufficient to get it published. And as ma'am said, yes, if you want to get a book published, that is the process I have told you. And if you're writing just one single poem or one single article, definitely the leading newspapers and magazines in a city will be more than willing to publish children's work. Okay.
yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. What are the materials? What are the preferences to write for my like?
Abhinav, can you be the last person to ask this question? and then we'll wind up. Abhinav.
Ma'am, my question is
Yes.
how to write a poem, ma'am?
How to write a poem?
Very-
Okay.
very
What
nice
are you
question.
thinking about right now? Okay, maybe you are very happy today. Okay, and you want to capture that emotion of happiness.
Yes.
Then whatever
Happiness,
comes,
ma'am.
yeah, you are very happy. I can see that with the smile on your face. So I guessed correct. So now what you can do is you can, just one small suggestion before you write a poem. Maybe you can write your feedback about this entire program, and that will help you to enhance your writing skills. And talking about writing a poem, then try to capture the emotion that you're feeling as honestly as possible, and then we can always edit and beautify it. First, capture the emotion or the memory or your thought, whatever you are getting it. Just be very honest with yourself, let it flow, put it there, record it or write it on paper, whichever seems easy for you, and later on we can beautify it.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, ma'am. Anurag, yes, I can, Anurag,
Yes, ma'am.
we are going beyond time, but yours can be the last question.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, my father is also a writer. He has written in so lots of books like Inadu, Andhra Jyoti, and Surya Papers. He have written very nice poems. So I want to write a poem in English. So, like, only the this one, ma'am, parts of speech and this rhyme scheme or some alliteration, that all is enough for a poem, or do we need anything else?
No, it is not mandatory. Child, you are just beginning to write. So you should always allow yourself, as I just now mentioned, just allow your thoughts, your emotions to flow. Record it. If you think writing is little difficult, record it as it is coming in your mind. Just record it in your mobile. Or if you think it is easy for you to write it, just write it the way you want. Later on, the editing work can be done later on. So since you already mentioned that your father is a great poet and a writer and his work has published, so definitely if you give him even a raw poem or an article, he'll guide you with editing. The first thing is to put your thoughts on paper, put your emotions, and be honest with them. Later on, see, when you feel for something, okay, when you really feel for something, you are going to connect with people, as ma'am just now read about one of the poems of Rabindranath Tagore. And hundreds of years back his work was written. Okay, more than 100 of years back, some stories. But why they are relevant even today? The setting has changed, but the human emotion is the same. If he has written stories about jealousy, about love, but those emotions hold good even today. So be honest with the human emotions, the setting and everything that can be taken care of. It's the emotion that if you get it correct, your work is done, boy.
Thank you,
Wonderful,
ma'am.
ma'am. Wonderful. Thank you. I'm afraid those of you who have more questions, please pass it on to your class teacher, and I will get it answered by Ritu ma'am and given back to you. Okay? And Ritu ma'am, lots and lots of love and happiness from all my children here of you, ma'am. And I think it has been a wonderful session. Thank you so much for taking so much of your time and interacting with all our children, telling them about poetry, about writing, about different types of poems, and so on. Thank you, ma'am, once again
Thank you
from
so much, ma'am. Thank you
Rockwoods.
for having me here. It was an excellent experience.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for
Thank
taking
you, sir.
part of the
Thank you,
session.
children.
A lot of involvement from children, asking a lot of questions.
Yes.
That itself is the testimony of how much they are involved and all that.
Yes.
Thank you very much for
I'm
taking.
truly blessed, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And bless you all, children, and all the best for your future. God bless you all. Bye and take care of yourselves.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.